beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grown stalker, crypt stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, lead skill hunter, a death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
And welcome to episode 269 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com and BendakWow on Twitter.
All right, and today is Monday, April 23rd, 2018, and we are broadcasting live on Twitch TV. And you can participate in the live chat room. Where is Ollie on tonight? I don't know. Haven't looked. But if she's there, you can send her questions. Otherwise, they'll just disappear into the nether, or we do read the chat, so we'll see them. Maybe talk about these things on the show. But we are back again after another little bit of a month off here, but it's, as always, good to be back. And Bendak's here, Synth is here, Delirium might be here a little bit later, although you said he's apparently the only one of us that's maybe not in the alpha at this point. So he said he wasn't sure how much he had to contribute. But I understand you're in Synth, right? And I know, Bendak, you're in finally.
Yeah. Lucky me. I wish I could actually gift my access to somebody, but oh well. Delirium would be way better suited to play in the alpha than I was.
Yeah, I haven't had, I've been out of town for a few days last week and just haven't spent too much time in there. Still waiting for it to sort of reach beta stage, which I guess it should be pretty soon, because one of the things that happened since our last show is they announced an official release date for the Battle of Azeroth, so we know it's coming out August 14th, 2018. So it'll be here soon enough, right? I mean, it's a little ways off, but not that far off either. So it's definitely happening.
That's actually pretty soon, I think. It just seems like, how are they going to get all this done by then?
Yeah, it's Legion came out August 30th, if I remember correctly. So, and I think everything was the alpha access was actually like 2 weeks after when Legion's alpha came out, timeline wise. So they're a full month ahead of Legion's schedule, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is crazy. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I think I did ultimately get into the Legion beta, and that was fairly late. Like it was right around, I want to say the June timeframe is when I ultimately got into that, if I recall.
Mm-hmm. So when did the pre-patch come out? That's actually where I'm concerned, because ostensibly all these changes would be in by the pre-patch, not even by August 14th, like earlier than that. So that's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, I don't think they've said anything about the release for the pre-patch or even when it would go up on the PTR, right? I mean, at some point they dump a bunch of those changes on there first.
No, but it looks like the Legion pre-patch was July 18th.
Oh.
And it came out on August 30th, so.
Wow, we're almost there. So
yeah, right? I mean, we're at the end of April here, so it's almost May.
Yeah, we're going to have, I think, mid-June then, right? If it follows the same timeline.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's scary to think about. So, do you want to dive right in?
Yeah, we can talk about some stuff here. And I know one of the things that was, they're slowly adding things, right, to the alpha. And I believe the Dark Iron Dwarves and the Magar, however you pronounce it, those orcs are now on the alpha. You've played around with the Dark Irons. They do look pretty sweet. How are you liking them so far?
Yeah, they're really cool. They got like glowing eyes and like their beards are on fire and they just look pretty neat. And the racial's pretty good too. It's kind of like dwarf stone form, except it also gives you an agility buff.
That is pretty nice. And I believe, right, we'll be able to race change like we can normally once you've unlocked it at some point. Will they let us do that? I have to say, I mean, I've had Darkbrew for a long time since I say going back to 2005 is probably when I created him. But I'm very tempted to change him into a Dark Iron Dwarf if that's possible.
Yeah, you can race change as soon as you unlock him. Yeah, they have another racial too called like Mole Machine. But I don't know what it does yet because it's not working, but maybe it'll be like an extra Hearthstone or something like that.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, it sounds like it's something along those lines, right? If you think about those, the thing that they usually do, like how you get to core and Darkbrew and things of that nature. So it certainly sounds like it would be something along those lines, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, the Mag'har orcs are pretty neat too. They got like different skin shades and like tattoos, and one of the racials actually gives your pets 10% more health.
So it sounds like both of these be not bad for hunters, certainly.
Yeah, I did actually make a Mag'har orc on Alpha, and that posture change, man, it really improves the quality of life there. No, I'm being serious though. Like it just looks better, I think. So I'm definitely gonna go to the chiropractors with all my orcs whenever I inevitably unlock them. But yeah.
Did you do? I assume you did a hunter for the Mag'har.
Of course.
What do they get for a starting pet?
So I don't know if this is accurate on because when you make it, it's a 110. So I don't really know what the actual starting pet is. But one of them was like an Onyx Panther, like one of the jewel crafting Onyx Panthers.
All hunters get that on the.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think so. Yeah. All the pre-made hunters that you can make.
Yeah. So supposedly,
fire turtle as well.
Yes. Supposedly, according to Wowhead, it's some weird cat thing, which I swear looks like a dog.
Are you talking about the Dark Iron pet?
Is that the Dark Iron pet? I thought that was a Mag'har. Oh, Mag'har was it just a generic boar, right?
I thought it was a wolf, or maybe not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Either a wolf or a boar, probably for the orc would make sense.
Am I thinking
I just haven't seen what they've started with.
Yeah, am I thinking of the Dark Iron pet? Is that the one that they claimed was a cat and clearly looks like a hyena or something?
Yeah. It's their new model for the demon dogs.
The demon dogs. That's right. Okay, so I wasn't crazy there. Okay.
No, yeah. So part of and we did talk about this last show. They were redoing some of the pet models, upgrading them, I guess, for Battle for Azeroth, and it looks like the demon dogs are now getting a makeover as well, and it looks like those are going to be the starting pet for the Dark Iron Dwarves. They're going to get like a fiery red one, was this fitting, looks kind of cool for them.
Yeah, and if you're not a Dark Iron, you can actually go and tame one of those for yourself in Blackrock. Yeah, I think it's Blackrock Depths.
I haven't checked. I mean, are these also the same demon dogs that they had in Northrend out there? There were some cool looking ones there too. I don't know if they were getting the same treatment or if that's actually a different type of pet, but I thought it was the same.
It is the same, but I think I'm not positive, but they might have kept the ones that are classified as demon as the old model. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure if they even changed them all to beasts or not when they allowed hunters to tame them.
Yeah, see, I assume so. Like there was like the blue ones were out there, and then there was, for lack of a better word, there was one that was almost like tattooed. It was like sort of a little bit multicolored, had some rune figures on it and so forth. It was very, very cool pet.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they let them give you an option to tame one of those, like maybe like a rare spawn, kind of like they did for the old bears. Because the new demon dogs, they're not at all like the old ones.
No, they don't look bad, but it does look like a completely different pet, unlike some of the other changes that they've done. And the other big news was the global cooldown change. And I know in our notes here, I just posted this giant post that the devs did, although I think they put together a lot of words to basically say, hey, we're putting everything in the global cooldown and deal with it. So how does that affecting hunters now? I mean, a lot of our things that weren't on the GCD before are now going to be on there. Things like Bestial Wrath, correct?
Yep, and that one feels especially bad. I don't know, because Bestial Wrath, like we use it pretty frequently. It's like if you get good procs, you're using it every like 30-40 seconds.
Right.
And it really cuts into the cooldown window, like especially if you're using Killer Cobra. It's just I mean, that's one less reset, you know?
So, here's a question that I don't know if was ever addressed, but haste used to reduce the global cooldown up to a point. Does that still happen?
Yeah, it still happens.
Okay, because with the item level squish, it was hard for me to tell if things were being adjusted.
And I understand why they're doing it. I mean, and again, this affects a lot of these utilities and things that you were just inclined to macro, create a macro and just sort of fire them off, without thinking about them, or mixing them into other shots, or just making things a little bit more efficient, so you didn't have to really think about it. So I kind of understand that.
But I think there's better ways they could have handled that. I think they could have just said, classify certain spells as cooldown spells and have those share global cooldown. Just between each other,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would make sense. And that probably wouldn't have been a bad thing. Like I said, this has just been like this forever, I assume, probably since the beginning of the game. I mean, this isn't like something they introduced with Legion and then said, okay, well, we took things off the GCD and now we feel like we need to put it back. It just seems like we've been used to this for a very, very long time. I'm not sure that changing it now is the right way to go.
Yeah, it does feel close. Like, I think the last time I had this sort of pacing, it was around Wrath or Kata. I mean, was Bestial Wrath ever on the GCD back then? It felt like...
I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a lot different from what we had in
Mhm.
Legion. It's hard to get used to it. It's just...
Maybe they're giving us a taste of classic WoW.
God.
Yeah, I don't know if... and if it was on the GCD, probably wasn't on there for very long.
And I'm sure I get used to it eventually. It's just right now it's a bit jarring.
Yeah,
but the thing I don't like is they put stuff like disengage on the global cooldown. That is not on the global cooldown right now. So if you're in the middle of your rotation and all of a sudden there's an emergency, and it's I have to disengage now or I will die. You have to wait a second and a half to disengage.
Yeah, and something like that doesn't make sense, right? That's really that affects gameplay, because right where you're whereas it's today, like I said, you have to stop. You realize something's going on. You've got the situational awareness of what's going on, and you have to you've made a decision, the smart decision, the right decision. Now you're hampered. You can't execute it through no fault of your own. It's just one of those situations where you couldn't anticipate some random bit of something.
Yeah, it's worth noting that defensives like Turtle and Exhilaration are still off of the global cooldown, and so is Countershot.
I think Countershot will forever be off the global cooldown. There would be so much rage if you couldn't interrupt when you need to.
Yeah, that's one of the examples they put in their post. Wizard was we know that interrupts cannot be on the global cooldown.
Yeah, and I would think that disengage sort of falls in that same vein, in my opinion. Even something like Exhilaration too, right, where you just need to do a little bit of heal. There's those utilities, because we talked about macroing some of these abilities in the beginning. I don't know, Exhilaration is something you're not necessarily going to macro into a shot, or you know what I mean. You're going to use that when you need to, and not just use it every time it's off cooldown. So I don't know if there's a lot of benefit to having that on the GCD.
Oh, Exhilaration is off the GCD.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, Exhilaration and Turtle are both off. And Cheat is off too, I guess.
Right. So since we started the show tonight, they've already listened to our feedback and made a couple of changes. That's awesome.
So here's a question. I was just looking this up a little bit more. So there's apparently two types of GCDs, 0.5 and a 1.5. Do we actually have a difference in ours?
Yeah, okay, so disengage after you use it, there's a 0.5 GCD.
Okay.
So it triggers a 0.5 GCD, but it's still affected by the original 1.5 GCD to use it, you know? I know it's convoluted, but
Oh,
yeah.
seems a little okay.
And Harpoon is the same way.
Huh.
So after you use Disengage, you can start attacking a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I guess it looks like charged, grappling hook, heroic leap, death grip, and everything else that moves are all on the 0.5 GCD. So, okay. I mean, it's still a little. But
Yeah, I don't know. Blizzard seems pretty set in this. I mean,
yeah, they're
there's
not
been
going
a
to change
lot
it
of
back.
negative feedback on it, and I don't think it's really phasing them.
Yeah, I was gonna say somewhere in there they mentioned it was experimental or something, but I mean normally we'd say, well, it's alpha, it's early, and you got plenty of time, but it's alpha, but it's not early, and we don't have that much time, and I can't imagine them making a change to this at this point. This is, I think, the direction they want to go, and gonna stick with it. And I think they might be inclined to wait until this goes live at least and see people, how they're doing in dungeons, raiding, and things before they start to make some decisions about reverting this back. But it could be a good while, if at all.
Yeah, when they make a decision like this with such a long blue post, it's chances are they're not going to revert it within at least a patch. They'll probably wait 2 patches, maybe 1 raid tier before they make a change like that back. So we'll see. Maybe they'll adjust it and take some stuff off the GCD, but they'll probably never get rid of, put things back the way they were. As long as the class balancing is done with that in mind.
Right. The thing about Beast of Wrath, though, is like they implemented this a while ago, but up until just the most recent build, Beast of Wrath had survived it. It was still off the GCD, but then this week it was put on, and that was sad.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating one too, right? Because you cast it and then you got to wait, right? You lose a second of your
Yeah,
DPS time.
this is Beast Mastery. It's all about your Beast of Wrath windows. It's like the entire spec. Like everything outside your Beast of Wrath is just working towards your next Bestial Wrath. So that's why it just feels so jarring to me.
And even if you were increase the duration by a second to offset that, you'd still feel like you're losing out, no matter what.
Yeah, I guess should we talk about the new talents?
Yeah, so we haven't talked much about Beast Mastery since the alpha, only because it really hasn't changed much. But now it's starting to. I guess they made a little bit of progress here, although I don't know that they're finished yet, or if they are, I don't know that it feels like it's changing all that much. But there were some new talents, some new. There were some not insignificant changes. I mean, there were some hefty things coming to Beast Mastery since we last did our show. So mostly in the talent department. We can start with the first row, level 15 talents. The 3 talents there are Killer Instinct, Animal Companion, which still shows us not being implemented, and then Dire Beast are your 3 competing talents. And Killer Instinct, I guess, is the new one. And Kill Command does 50% more damage on targets that are at or below 35% health, which is like kill shot, so to speak, right? I mean, it's an execute ability essentially.
Yeah, I like it a lot more than Big Game Hunter, that's for sure. Big Game Hunter was like a reverse execute basically, and it always felt like that first bit of boss health just disappeared too fast to get any use out of it, you know. But 35%
Well, yeah,
execute
right?
is
Especially
nice.
at the beginning too, right? Because everyone's super buffed and everything's going. So yeah, the health drops pretty quickly in those first few seconds of the fight.
Yeah, I think this is pretty nice.
Yeah, so I have a question about this one, and this one in conjunction with the level 30 Dire Stable. Dire Stable, I think, reads when the Dire Beast is out. You do more damage, right? Something like that.
No, Dire Stable just increases the focus regen of Dire Frenzy.
Oh, really? Because okay, I thought it had some sort of interaction because that was actually going to be my question. You know, would they ever? Are they going to keep a talent that that's affected by another talent tier, like locks you into another talent pick?
No, not in
Yeah.
this case.
Okay.
But speaking of Dire Beast, that has changed. It no longer replaces Dire Frenzy. It's actually its own separate little cooldown button now. It's got a 15-second cooldown and it costs 35 focus. Just summons a beast for 8 seconds. Any of you guys tried this?
No, I haven't played with that yet. So that's the new Dire Beast, right?
Yeah, I have, and I'm not a fan of it. It's I find that it just, since it's got such a short cooldown, it just kind of gets in the way. Like every time it comes off cooldown, I'm like, well, I don't want to cast it now because I'm in the middle of like Beast of Wrath. The Dire Beast isn't affected by Beast of Wrath, so it feels like a waste to use it now. But if I don't use it, then I'm going to waste the cooldown. And oh crap, it just cost me 35 focus, and now I don't have enough focus to do this. And you know, it just feels like a nuisance almost.
Yeah, and I mean, so just looking at these three, right? Because that's our choice now: Killer Instinct, Animal Companion, which is your sort of permanent second pet, and then Dire Beast, which is the temporary pet. And as you said, it's an ability that you have to cast, whereas Killer Instinct is just there once the target reaches that health requirement, you just cast your kill command like you normally would, and then boom, it does more damage. So I don't know how these three. I mean, I guess you're not a big fan of Dire Beast right now, but I mean, does Killer Instinct seem like it's gonna win out here, or we just have to wait and see how well Animal Companion does? I guess.
You just have to wait and see. I mean, I assume they'll all be tuned pretty similarly. Like level 15 talents are usually kind of close, but like Animal Companion, that extra pet, it's not going to do much damage. Like, because it has to be balanced, so it's kind of just going to be tickling your target. It's more like a cosmetic thing, I think.
Yeah, and again, and especially if it runs into like pathing issues and things like this, where you go into some secret room or some zone, and within a you get transported somewhere in a boss fight, and then next thing you know, you come back out and your pet's nowhere to be found or something like that. It may not be worth it.
Yeah, like it's not going to do the same relative damage that Hades does. Like Hades does 30% kill command damage and then auto attacks. If that talent did this, it would be leagues above the other ones. So I think it's just going to be kind of like it's just like a cosmetic thing that does a little passive damage, basically. But I mean, it's not there yet, so who knows what they're doing with it.
Right. And then Dire Frenzy, so that's baseline, right? And do they change the name to like Barb Shot now, or is it the other way around?
Yeah, it's called Barb Shot now. It's basically it's like half implemented right now, so I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work, but I think instead of your pet doing friends like those 5 quick attacks, the damage component will be the shot itself. And then your pet still gets frenzy stacks and focus regen and all that.
And again, that's not a talent. That's just one of the new baseline abilities.
Yeah, it still gets resets, still reduces the cooldown of Beast of Wrath, all that stuff. Has 2 charges and everything, the same as Dark Frenzy did. It's just aesthetically, it's like a shot now. It just looks better because, I mean, if you look at Beastmaster on Legion right now, it's such like an awkward animation set. It's just like you're just like flailing your hands all over the place the whole time.
You're commanding your pet to do stuff.
Yeah, so now you actually shoot it, and then your pet gets mad and attacks.
I like that. I like the idea that you shoot something, you shoot your target, it starts to bleed, and then your pet goes into a frenzy, the sight of blood. So on the next tier, which is the level 30, we got Dire Stable, one with the pack, and then Chimera Shot. So those I think are what relatively unchanged, I guess.
Yeah, those haven't changed since we last talked about them.
And I don't know what would be desirable. Maybe, I mean, one with the pack.
One with the pack that's the only choice right now.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
does-
Has Wild Call has a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of is it Dire Beast or Dire Frenzy? It's Dire Frenzy, right?
No, it's Barb Shot now.
Yeah, I was going to
Well,
say
it's Barb
maybe-
Shot now. Yes.
So
yeah.
they didn't
They
update the
still-
tooltip then on
No.
alpha because that's probably what I was I was trying to remember what it was. I guess that's the one I was confused about because I guess I thought it would reset Dire Beast.
Yeah, it's all Barb Shot now.
Okay,
They're just like they haven't fully implemented everything.
gotcha.
And then at level 45, we've got Trailblazer, Natural Mending, and Camouflage. And Trailblazer is the one where you get the movement speed increased by 30% anytime you've not attacked for 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's the same as it is in Legion.
Yeah.
Natural Mending, it's basically a complicated way of reducing the cooldown of Exhilaration by about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. I was trying to figure that out. So, yeah, every time the focus you spend basically reduces the remaining cooldown on Exhilaration by 1 second, and it looks like it's up to 30 seconds for Beast Mastery, 20 seconds for Marksmanship and Survival.
No, that's every 30 focus.
Every 30 focus
for Beast
gets
Mastery,
reduced by 1 second.
mm-hmm. And every 20
Yeah.
for Marks and 20 for Survival.
I mean, looking at this road now, it's like Natural Mending is pretty much the only option, I think, for like raiding in dungeons. But I think for Beast Mastery, they could have made it a little more interesting. Like sure, maybe buff Exhilaration a bit, but what if it also like increased your Mend pet, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be nice.
It'd just be more interesting for Beast Mastery.
But yeah, I think that's a good option for this tier. I mean, Trailblazer, I don't know. It's hard to not be attacking sometimes.
Trailblazer has like one use, and that's Mythic Iminar, and then that's like the only use it has. Well, I guess you could say it has a use for like doing old raids for transmog runs or something. But
Uh-huh. And I've always in Camouflage just always looks cool when you're out.
oh, it's in Beast Mastery never had that in Legion, so it's really
No,
nice
it
to have
didn't.
that back.
No.
That's a nice talent to use out in the world,
Mhm.
leveling and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're trying to avoid some packs during, especially the early phase when you're not able to fly yet, that's gonna come in just so handy. I actually switched into marksmanship a couple times so that I could camouflage around a few packs.
Yep.
So then on level 60, we have Venomous Bite. Cobra Shot reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 1 second. Thrill of the Hunt. It says I guess would be Barb Shot increases your critical strike chance by 3%, stacking up to 3 times. And then we have Murder of Crows, which is our old favorite.
Yep. So Venomous Bite is crap. You don't notice it at all. It's like dwarfed by the cooldown reduction of Barb Shot. It's just I don't even know why it's there. I'm guessing they just haven't touched it yet. They just probably threw it in with a placeholder number or something. But yeah, I don't think it's a good talent. I think they should just put like what used to be there, like Beast of Fury or something.
And then on level 75, we have this one called Born to be Wild, which is aspect of the cheetah and aspect of the turtle are reduced by 20%. Post haste and Binding Shot, which are the ones we're familiar with.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting choice. Like post haste is like you kind of always want it, but you might want Binding Shot too, so it's kind of like a hard choice. But then there's also reducing the cooldown of turtle and is pretty nice too. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting choice.
Yeah, I said this is a very perhaps situational tier right here, where maybe you want to play it around. Certainly with Binding Shot, there's times where we use that. It's very helpful with ads. Post haste, sometimes you want that little bit of extra burst, and as you say, turtle's a good thing too. So, yeah, that's probably a maybe when all said and done, a pretty well designed tier overall.
Yeah, and you have to
gives
keep in mind too that binding shot is no longer a stun; it's just a root. So it's no longer as kind of like mandatory to have.
right.
So, I mean, maybe you need a little extra CC and you take it, but you don't have to take it.
Yeah, if they have any more of those effects where like they summon something, and when that thing gets to the boss, it heals them or does a raid wide damage or something stupid like that, binding shot will probably still come in handy. Just
Yes,
to
it's
add.
very useful for those types of mechanics, right?
Mhm.
Those flowers and whatever fight that was in Legion, it comes to mind.
Yeah, mythics, especially any of those cats that jump around or dogs that jump around. Those are very helpful. Or the pelters that jump around. Everything jumps around apparently.
Yeah, and in case people weren't aware, the old intimidation talent that was a single target stun, that's
Yeah.
actually a baseline ability now.
Is it? Yeah, I knew it was no longer a talent, but I didn't think they had removed it from the game. So
Yeah, so we still have a stun.
Oh, that's good.
and then moving down to the level 90 talents, we have Stomp, Barrage, and Stampede. So this is basically our AoE tier.
Yeah, so stomp is the same. It's just now when you use barb shot, your pet stomps, kind of a weird interaction, but I wouldn't be surprised if they changed that to like make your barb shot cleave or something like that. This feels kind of weird now, but and barrage is. I mean, I think I've ranted about this before about with barrage and BM. It's just not good.
And then Stampede, which is the one. I mean, I like it in theory. I don't know. I haven't used it in a while. And it's just the one that, we lobbied so hard to get for so long to have this kind of ability. And I know it's changed since it was first introduced into the game. But
yeah, it's just not the same as the old Stampede. I don't know. I just think it's like almost too situational. I don't know. I think if it had a shorter cooldown, it would find more use.
Yeah, or maybe some sort of cooldown reduction abilities. But then that relies on you picking that particular talent, though.
Well, I mean, if it had some kind of cooldown reduction built into it, like
oh yeah, like every time you Cobra shot,
or every time your pet beast cleaved or something, it would reduce cooldown.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, they definitely. I do like that ability, the or that mechanic where you do something and it reduces your cooldowns, because it just makes it so that in a prolonged fight, you get to use it more often. But in a shorter fight, you have to decide whether or not you want to use it for that fight.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I kind of wish that Stampede was like a baseline cooldown for the spec again. Either in this form or the old form. It just feels like a beast thing all beast mastery hunters should have,
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree, especially
I feel like
Dire Beast is a talent now, as well.
Yeah, I feel like they could just like honestly remove Aspect of the Wild and just like replace it with Stampede as the second cooldown.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So Aspect of the Wild is really, really bleh. It's just like I mean, they nerfed his focus generation, and it's just kind of like it doesn't have Thunder Slash anymore. It's just like, what is this? I'm just gonna stack it with every like fourth Beast of Wrath, and that's that.
And in the chat, it's like Jess Pride was saying, I just want Chimera Shot as a single target ability for MM again. Yeah, we kind of like Beast Mastery sort of stole that, didn't they, from marksmanship?
Yeah, I know. Well, speaking of that, I always thought it'd be a good idea if Chimera Shot, if they just like replace multi-shot with Chimera Shot for BM as like the cleave ability. Like still have it activate beast cleave and everything, but I just think it's more interesting to do like a meaningful damage to 2 targets than tickle 10 targets,
Sure, yeah, like mages.
That's actually a good idea, and especially when you think about the nature of the shot. And I think animations kind of, you sort of see little things fly out of there too. It sort of fits in line with Beast Mastery a bit.
Yeah, and it's not unheard of in the world of WoW, just because I think frost mages by default just hit 2 with their ice lances and with that splitting ice talent. So 2's not unreasonable. Yeah, I'd rather have that.
Yeah, so I don't know, this level 90 tier, I'm kind of looking at it and like, well, if they don't make any changes, I think it's just going to be stop or nothing.
And that makes sense. And then the final tier, which is level 100, there's Aspect of the Beast, Killer Cobra, and then Spitting Cobra.
Right, so they've changed Aspect of the Beast. Now it increases the damage of your pet's abilities by 30% and increases the effectiveness of Predator's Thirst, Endurance Training, and Pathfinding by 50%. And those are the main passives for each of the 3 pet specs. So if you're a Ferocity pet, you get 15% leech. If you're a Tenacity pet, you get 12% more health. And if you're a Cunning pet, you get 12% movement speed with it.
So have they fixed leech yet, so that the pet gives you leech, or is that
No.
never going to happen?
No, they haven't fixed it, but at least 15% is kind of high. I mean, it's at least be somewhat noticeable.
Okay.
But the wording on it where it says increases the damage of your pet's abilities by 30%. Like, does that seem weird to any of you guys, like the wording? Like, when you see that, what do you think it does?
I don't know. I guess I think the abilities do 30% more damage, maybe.
But like, what abilities? Like, they're making it plural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So is
so-
it bite and claw, or is that something?
Yeah, it's literally just their basic attacks. So I don't
Really?
know why they don't say basic attacks.
Okay.
Like, they're making it seem like it's, oh, your pet's abilities. It's like I think some people might look at this and be like, so my kill command's going to do 30% more damage. It's like, no,
Right,
it's
which
not.
isn't the case, right? I mean, and again, I probably thought about that too. Although, since they went out of the way to say abilities rather than say your pet's damage, right, which would imply kill command. But
I just thought it was weird since they only have one ability that is actually affected.
Maybe it's they haven't gone through the tuning phases of the tooltips, considering Dire Beast is still and Dire Frenzy still mentioned everywhere. They probably have to. I heard at one point in the past that they said tooltips are actually very hard to change relative to. They're not just like lines of text. Because their formulas and stuff like that on them, they actually are decently difficult to change.
Actually, I think they fixed that in Legion at some point.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I think they were originally saying that they couldn't hotfix tooltip stuff.
That's what it
but
was.
I think they can now.
Okay. Hooray! Progress.
So this is kind of the same as the other aspect of the beast, just like passive damage and increases the effectiveness of like each spec, what they're known for. But I don't know. I guess it's nice because all the specs have the damage increase. So instead of it just being ferocity getting the bleed,
right. And I guess it just sort of, how does it compare with Killer Cobra, which will do the kill command reset, when Bestial Wrath is active, Cobra Shot resets the cooldown of kill command. That's just like it is today. And then Spitting Cobra, which summons a Spitting Cobra for 20 seconds that attacks your target. And says, while the Cobra is active, you also gain 2 focus every second.
Yeah, so that's an old survival talent, or a Legion survival talent, I should say. Yeah.
And it should be noticed that's an ability too, right? That's not. It's an active ability, and it's got a 1.5 minute cooldown as well.
Yeah. So, would you run a focus negative rotation that then use Spitting Cobra to come back from that deficit, or would you rather do like like a focus positive rotation and just make sure that you watch your cooldowns and stuff like that.
I don't think the focus from it is can be that impactful.
Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's 20 seconds, 2 focus every second. Yeah, that's not really a lot.
Yeah, it's only like
40 focus total.
Yeah, over 20 seconds.
Okay, so you're right. That's not really helpful. Okay, well then.
It's right now on alpha. It's actually kind of bugged. Like the snake only has a range of like 20 or 25 yards. So I mean, I'm sure they'll fix that. But and when they do, I kind of hope that they give it like slightly more than a 40-yard range, because like if you're standing right at 40 yards and you use it and your snake goes down, and if it goes down on like the wrong angle, like to your left or something, and the boss is to your right, all of a sudden it can't hit the boss, So hopefully they give it a little wiggle room there, because it's being stationary for 20 seconds. It's kind of, I think you'll run into a lot of situations where your targets might run out of range.
Oh, speaking of that, looks like we lost blink strikes entirely. So
We did, yeah. That's gone.
yeah. So our pet interactions with bosses so far so good, or do you think they'll need to redo pathing again?
Well, blink strikes certainly caused a lot of problems with that, but I mean, I don't like the blinking component for target switching is not really needed anymore because of Kill Command's charge range.
Oh, that's right. They did add the extra range on Kill Command.
Yeah, like your pet can be 50 yards away from the target and charge to it. So
yeah, I'm still seeing a lot of like no path found issues with Hottie and my pet in certain instances, but hopefully they'll slowly resolve those.
Yeah, and for this spitting cobra talent, I was thinking I thought it'd be really cool because right now it just like auto attacks, just kind of like, yay, I just summoned another snake and it's spitting. But wouldn't it be cool if like it like mimicked your cobra shots? Whenever you cobra shot, it also fired a cobra shot. I just think that'd be so cool.
That'd be kind of cool, if especially if like just like stood at your feet and did that or something like that. You've got all the good ideas. I hope you're giving this feedback to Blizzard, because there's a lot of good stuff.
I'm sure he is, but whether or not they listen is another story altogether.
Yeah, I've definitely suggested this to them, but we'll see.
But it's interesting to look at this talent list too. I mean, right? I mean, that's each tier has at least one active ability, and I can't imagine you would go that route. But that's what, 7 abilities that you could be adding to your rotation, if you will. So that's a lot.
If you added them all, it wouldn't work. Like if you added like Darby's Chimera Shot, Motive Crows, like Stampede or like Barrage and like Spitting Cobra, it'd be like you'd be having so many of these little cooldowns you would have no time to do your normal rotation.
Yeah, I'm not saying you'd use them all at once, but that's
you can't.
7. It's you know what I mean, or even just sort of one after the other. I don't know. I mean, but that's 7 abilities that you'd be adding to your rotation, if you will.
Yeah,
I don't think you could manage that.
Absolutely not. I mean, with the GCDs, where they adding to your amount of time just to cast all your stuff, your Bestial Wrath would be back up by the time you finished all your one rotation.
I know, like I was saying about the new Darbies, and that's just adding one new ability. It's just too many. It's the way BM functions, like with all these Bestial Wrath windows. It's hard to make talents that work well. That's why we always gravitate towards these passive ones, because it just, I don't know. Now, I want to make a note about Killer Cobra too. So now that Cobra Shot by itself resets, or not resets, but reduces the cooldown of Kill Command by 1 second when you use it, Killer Cobra has lost like a lot of its value, like when you think about it. Because I mean, sure, you can reset the cooldown of Kill Command with 1 Cobra Shot, but without it, you can still, fire off a couple Cobra Shots and do the same thing and take another talent on top of it,
Yeah, I know, that's a good point.
I wonder if they're going to adjust some other stuff too.
And when you add in the Beast of Wrath on the GCD, so you lose another reset from that, from the talent. And suddenly Killer Cobra is not a good talent anymore. And whereas right now it's kind of like, it's like BM's like star talent kind of almost.
I'd be okay with Killer Cobra going away as the best talent just because of the GCD changes. It just you feel less inclined to spam, or like it's already bad enough that you're so focus negative during Bestial Wrath. I think that legendary is going away too, right? The I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of it. The 15% extra damage during Bestial Wrath.
Focus cost reduction, you mean? Yeah, it's going away.
Oh, is it focus cost?
You mean the belt?
Yeah.
It reduces focus costs.
Darn it. Okay. Well, yeah. So with that too, and sorry. I don't know. I a lot of this stuff has to be played before you can really get a feel for it, I guess. Especially the timing on this stuff.
Yeah, well, this is from playing Killer Cobra. It's just,
okay.
It's not good right now. I think they need to add something to it or just change it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean it has to be the best talent. I'm just saying right now it's really popular. It's like a lot of people associate it with the BM rotation, but at this point,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I get into Beast of Wrath and then I alternate these two abilities. It feels kind of powerful.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. But now what you're saying, it's kind of been diminished here.
Yeah. So my suggestion was, what if, so it resets the cooldown, but what if it also extends the duration of Beast of Wrath by 1 second as well?
Oh, that'd be cool.
All of a sudden,
yeah,
it's regained its value, kind of.
Yeah, but without the one legendary, you might be so focus starved at the end of that it might end up that you can't cast all of your Cobra shots and kill commands.
Yeah, and I hope they consider, because back in WoD, Beast of Wrath had a 50% focus cost reduction, which is huge. Like if we had that today, so I would hope they would consider putting that back in, even if it was only 15% like the belt, just because it really smooths things out, and like focus costs have gone up a bit because we don't have like the traits that reduce the focus cost of Cobra Shot and all that.
Do we still get the extra 15 focus or 20 focus as Beast Mastery?
Yeah.
Oh, we do? Okay. That's good.
Yeah, Beast Mastery is the only one who has more than 100 focus now.
Oh, Kindred Spirits. There it is. Increases your maximum focus and your pet's maximum focus by 20.
Yeah, and since we're talking about focus, I guess it's worth mentioning quickly that focus, I made a post about this, but focus regen is different for all 3 specs now.
Yeah, I saw that. That's definitely worth bringing up because that was an interesting analysis that you had on that, on the way it functions based on the 3 specs.
Yeah, so BM's the same. It's 10 focus per second, and then you get a little bit from barbed shot. And then marksmanship is like the complete opposite. You have almost no base passive focus regen. You only get 3 per second, and most of your regen is from active abilities like steady shot and rapid fire. And then survival is somewhere in the middle. They get 5 focus per second, and their focus regenerator, which is kill command, a different kill command, they can use more frequently than we can use barb shot.
Yeah, and if you guys go out to eyesofthebeast.com and just look for the post that you did, changes to focus in Battle for Azeroth, you've got a nice animated GIF which sort of shows the resting regen for all 3 specs, kind of starting out at 0 and then working the way back to full. It's amazing to see how quickly the BM bar fills up relative to survival, and then marksman is just getting lapped basically by BM.
So yeah, overall for BM, I'd say I'm glad they've made a few talent changes. I just think there's a lot more they could do.
And you were talking about this. I mean, I think something else you had written about too. You've tried all 3 specs, I think, in the alpha so far, but you were talking about survival, not that you were planning to switch to survival, but that it sort of felt more like what you would hope what Beast Mastery should be in terms of the interaction that survival has with its pet, that it seemed pretty cool now. And I haven't played much in the way of survival to notice, but you just sort of seemed like there was more synergy that survival offers between the hunter and the pet than what we're getting with Beast Mastery right now.
Yeah, like Beast Mastery is still like the pet spec, like a lot of your damage comes from your pet, but it feels like survival has more pet interaction. Like it's a lot of back and forth, like you buffing your pet buffing you, etc.
So overall, I mean, we're a long way from them doing damage numbers past, but I mean, you think you'll still stick with Beast Mastery for the most part? I mean, obviously it'll depend on the numbers to some degree, especially if they're way out of line, but assuming that they're relatively in line with one another, is that still the spec that you favor?
I don't know, to be honest. It's kind of too early. And plus, I think it'll be easier to play multiple specs in Battle for Azeroth, so I imagine I'll be doing that.
Yeah, they definitely learned their lesson.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about the leveling up a weapon, right? To make specs feel viable.
I guess the Azerite gear will be a little bit of a barrier, but I don't think it'll be as big. Because if you really wanted to multi-spec, there's always going to be traits that are neutral.
Oh, you're saying like you have to go farm new gear for your second spec, but it's only 3 pieces.
Yeah, right. Because the traits are, I think there's like a choice between like a spec specific trait or a neutral trait.
Gotcha.
At least on the first line. I don't know, that Azerite stuff is so early, it's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't even have the final UI for it, right? It's still the not final UI, the tree that they have.
Yeah, I can see myself playing all of them, even survival, because like I've said before, survival it's really fun now. I think I like it a lot more than Legion.
I'll have to give that a try on the alpha.
I think it feels a lot different. It's less. What I didn't like about it in Legion was there's a lot of like maintenance things. It's like you had this checklist of things you had to constantly do, and it feels a lot more fun now. And the talent choices are really interesting.
Well, and it makes sense too, right? Because it was new for Legion, so now they've had they've had a chance to work on it and start to tweak it a little bit and shape it a little bit more now going into Battle for Azeroth here. So we had a couple other pet notes. I think Muffinus on Twitter, and I forget when, but it was fairly recent, basically said that the Hunter Pet Pass is still on the to-do list, and he said there will be at least one new pet family. Can you guess what it is? And I don't think it's been announced, has it? Not that I can tell, or do we know?
No idea what it is.
So that remains a mystery as to what that pet family will be.
Although I will say on the alpha, I've already tamed a Zandalari Druid.
Have you? Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
I'm sure they'll fix it, but I currently have a Zandalari Druid pet.
That's amazing. Got to get that.
Now, does it have its own pet family of any kind, or?
No, it's classified as a cat. It's one of the dino cats.
Well, who knows?
Yeah. So the new mechanical panthers or tigers or whatever, those look really cool, though.
Yeah, I think there's officially found one in game so far, like the Pantera or something is how it's pronounced. I guess it's like, a mixture of numbers and characters to get there, but I think that one has been discovered at least.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some kind of little challenge to tame those two. Pretty much all the mechanicals have something like that.
Yeah, I don't think nothing's sort of been announced. I don't think anything's been quite figured out, but that there might be some little vignette for those mechanical tigers, and they may be part of some Voltron sort of themed vignette or something like that, where you can combine them into, you know, a super pet, if you will. And then I think in a recent developer interview, they said that they have plans for Haiti, but no details on what that means yet.
Yeah, I think they just mean they're gonna have some kind of way for us to keep him, you know.
Yeah, meaning, I don't know, they could easily just put a pet in the game, or maybe make it a rare, or just stick it in Northrend or something. Just you know, another pet that looks like Haiti that we just don't have room for in our stables.
Actually, if they can give us like, you know how you have weapon enchants, give us pet enchants so that they can have like lightning effects or like fire effects or something like that. That'd be cool. I'd want Hattie or Hades' lightning effect on some of my other pets.
Yeah, just think of all the toys and stuff out there that work on any model. They could have all kinds of pet enchants.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that orb thing, you know, that we went out and spent all that time getting to allow you to turn Hattie into something else. I don't know what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah,
Well,
a lot of people are
Take the
gonna...
animal companion talent. You can have the same thing basically.
That's true. That's true.
No, a lot of people are gonna lose that adorable pet that you could transform Hattie into, and
Oh, the
that's
pupper. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a sad day when that goes away.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Going into the Druid Order Hall and taming puppies.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably about all we've got for this week. We just wanted to try and it's good to get back and talk about Beast Mastery, because we hadn't had a chance to do that yet, since there wasn't much to talk about with the alpha. And hopefully we'll start to see some more changes here. I think there was a build not too long ago, and what do they do about a build every week, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm putting my money on we're 6 weeks away from the pre-patch. That's where which means beta should be out soon, actually, because this was
alpha.
I
mean, 6 weeks that's right around the corner.
Looking at the calendar right now. Yeah.
Well, see, I don't think it'll be 6 weeks. I think it'll be closer to 8 weeks.
All right, we'll see.
Well, 6 weeks gets us what
Early
June. That might be a little bit soon. I went maybe about a month ahead of maybe around mid-July. I'd expect maybe we'd see the pre-patch, or maybe we'll do it for a short period of time, like 2 weeks or something, instead of like a month.
And I'd say early to mid-July. I just think they have a lot to do still.
They definitely have a lot to do. All right, well, we'll see. Maybe we'll have another show in between.
I think so. Get Delirium on track here as well. But on that note, you have been listening to episodes 269 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right, you can check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or at our RSS feed to your reader. Of course, we have these links available in our show notes. And if you have a question or topic you'd like us to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com. You can just send us a tweet to huntingpartypod. All right, stay thirsty, my friends. Remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
And at this point, since you need to find it out, we need to get one from you.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I got nothing.
There you go.
There you go. There's your outro. I got nothing.
I got nothing.
A life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout now. I'm a hunter, I'm a viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SB, I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Raiding enemy game, dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jaden, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Amubarak, Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Saphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archivon, Amalon, Coromon, Algalon. The faction champions, the death toll rolling on and on. Garvale, Executus, Chromagus, and Charixus. Burn, Luru, kill this. We won't stop till we kill our thoughts. I'm a hunter. I'm a hunter. I'm a hunter.